Hey guys, today I want to focus on makeup I've been neglecting. We are going to do a full face of products, most of which I have not even touched this year so far. I wanted to give these products the spotlight today, and hopefully I can make them a regular part of my routine again after this video. This year I am keeping a spreadsheet of my entire collection, category by category, and tallying every single use for each product. So the really cool benefit of doing this is that I can clearly see which products I haven't used at all this year, and there are some categories where there are a lot of products that have been untouched in 2025. There are other categories where I've used everything or almost everything at least once. So for my base, there's only one primer that I haven't used yet this year, and it's the Glow Recipe Watermelon Glow Niacinamide Hue Drops. I have been wearing the Dew Drops quite a bit because that's in my Finish 7 by Spring Project pan, and I'm actually going to pair it with something I really like to wear with it that I also haven't used yet this year. This is the Covergirl Simply Ageless Skin Perfector Essence. This is a skin tint. I like pairing these together because the Covergirl is a little bit too light on me, and the Hue Drops, as you'll see, have this bronzy tint to them. As far as like bronzing drops go, I actually like this one the best because it's not super pigmented. I like that it's sheer enough on its own, you don't have to dilute it, and it just gives a very subtle and very believable kind of tan glow to the skin. Next to going in with the Covergirl, I need to take my rings off. I cannot put on base products with rings on my fingers. It's hard enough doing it with a band-aid. I have to have a band-aid on this finger at all times because like 2.5 months ago, I slammed it in a door. Hurt so bad. The fingernail is like half falling off right now, so it's like kind of dead and it's just growing out. I got these cute little floral band-aids, and I've missed having fake nails on. I haven't been able to have them on ever since I had this happen to my finger, but I just had the idea that since I have a band-aid on it all the time anyway, I might as well just put fake nails on all the rest of my fingers. So that is exactly what I did. I specifically got these nails thinking of like March, St. Patrick's Day. These are, I think, called Moss Green is the color, from Glamnetic, and I absolutely love them. I know I was going through a period where I just did not love the way this looked on my skin. I think in the winter when my skin was going through like a dry phase, I just felt like this was clinging to dry patches so badly. So let's see how it looks today. It seems to be behaving better for me today. Yeah, that looks beautiful. Also, I forgot to mention that I actually have on the Glow Recipe Dew Drops as a skincare step today. I don't have any sunscreen on because I did earlier today, but I took a shower. I'm actually filming this in the evening. The sun's already down, so I don't have any sunscreen on, just Glow Recipe Dew Drops and the e.l.f. Holy Hydration Daily Moisturizer. So that is what I have on under this. So I have basically double duty Glow Recipe, but it's looking good. I'm actually really liking the result of that. I think it looks very skin-like. Like, this is what I remember really liking about this foundation when I first tried it, but then I've kind of fell out of love with it. I think I'm now back to loving it because my skin's in just a better place right now. I'm actually really excited for this under eye combo because this is another combo of products I love to wear together, neither of which I've used in 2025. I love wearing these two together, the Natasha Denona High Glam Concealer in N2 and the Milani Conceal and Perfect Under Eye Brightener in 01 Rose. This Natasha Denona concealer on its own is slightly too deep and warm on me, but the Milani, being this kind of pinky salmon color, really helps to balance it out, and it's just much better. I think I put way too much. Well, maybe not. I can actually pull off this shade of the concealer when I mix it with this. I might have gotten too much of that concealer, but we'll see. This is a pretty forgiving formula, I think. Definitely high coverage, like higher than I'm used to. Also, I'm finally back to liking my hair. I got it cut too short in January, and that's the first time I've ever gotten a haircut that I was truly just like so unhappy with, and also like embarrassed to leave the house for a few days there because it was so short, way shorter than I was comfortable with, and the haircut itself was actually so poorly done that I had to go and get it touched up by someone else because it was really uneven, it was jagged. I had to get it kind of fixed and evened out, but it was still obviously way too short. It's been like 2 months since the bad haircut. It's finally grown out to really, I feel like this is the ideal length for me for a bob style haircut. I've really been loving it. I feel like it's finally at a point where it looks cute half up, half down, whereas before it looked kind of weird. Anyway, I'm getting off on a tangent. For my bronzer, this is something that's actually not all that old in my collection. I think I bought this in the fall, but apparently I've really been neglecting it because I haven't used it at all this year, which should not be happening with such a new product. I'm gonna go in with my e.l.f. Ultimate Blending Brush. I love this brush for cream cheek products. And this Makeup by Mario bronzer is so nice. I don't know why I haven't been using it. It is so easy. It just is the perfect depth, the perfect level of pigment. I absolutely love it. The tone is beautiful. It's warm but not orange. Why have I been neglecting this? Really, it's just because I have been using other things. That's why. I definitely need to get back to it. A lot of these things I'm probably going to end up putting into my upcoming everyday makeup drawer when I reset that. The blush I chose is another favorite I haven't used at all this year, the Tower 28 Magic Hour blush. This is actually something that I want to hit pan on. Now that I've hit pan on the Milani, I might have used too much, but that's fine. Now that I've hit pan on the Milani blush, I maybe can move on to working on this one. I kind of haven't been as into warm tones lately. Once the weather warms up, that's when I start to get back in the mood for warm tones. This is warm without being offensively warm though. Like, it's not too orangey. This is looking so good so far. I am very pleased. So with that, I think it is time for setting powder. I pulled out two. There's actually a handful of powders in my collection I haven't used at all this year, but I picked out these two to use today. For the under eyes, I want to use the One Size Ultra Pink powder, and then for the rest of my face, I want to use the Huda Beauty Easy Bake in Pound Cake. I'm gonna just tap over my under eyes with a damp sponge. I feel like things are looking just a little bit heavy, and this always helps to kind of also tap out any creasing. I think to apply this One Size powder, I'm going to use this brush. This is the Kaleidos Precision Highlighter brush, but I like it for the under eyes because it's nice and small. Great for really pinpointing the under eyes. My main complaint with this powder before was that it was kind of clumpy. Like, it would like stick together in clumps, and that it was almost a little bit too pink. But I don't know if I still feel that way. I actually think this brush is really nice for it. I think that looks nice. I think it doesn't look too pink. Yeah, looks good. All right. So maybe that brush is the key. Kaleidos brushes, the few I've tried, I really, really like. Then for the Huda Easy Bake powder, this one I have in the mini size, which I actually wouldn't recommend. Like, if you're gonna buy this, maybe just get the full size because I find the packaging with the mini so annoying. So what I will do is just kind of get this on its side and sort of tap the powder out. And I just have to use a smallish brush with this powder because bigger brushes won't fit. Aside from the packaging though, this is a really nice powder. Like, it does give just a beautiful finish, very soft, very lightweight, not overly powdery looking. The highlighter, I'm so sad to say I haven't used yet this year, is the Nabla Skin Glazing highlighter in Privilege. This is another one of my favorites that I just haven't been using because I guess I've been using other things, / I kind of do skip highlighter a lot of days just because a lot of days I have a limited amount of time to get ready, so it's just one of those things I can easily skip, and it's a step I don't really miss that much. But I do still love wearing it if I'm taking my time getting ready, and this is such a pretty highlighter. So this I've actually never used. I bought it, I think at the end of 2024, maybe beginning of this year, the Profusion Pigment Base Eyeshadow Primer in white. I didn't mean to get the white shade. I kind of meant to get just like the nude shade, but I am going to be using a very colorful palette today. Actually, possibly two colorful palettes, we'll see. So I think a white base is just supposed to help colors or even like metallic shades pop. I don't want to use too much. I'm like, how white is it going to be? This is the only eyeshadow primer I've yet to use this year, or that I've yet to use ever. It is super white, isn't it? It's kind of like the NYX Jumbo Stick in Milk. Fills kind of a similar role. There was a lot of air in that. Look how thin that tube is now that I squeezed all the air out. That's funny. I've used all of my brow products at least once this year, but this one I've only used one time, so it's my least used of the year. The Essence Thick n Wow Fixing Brow Mascara. I have the shade Caramel Blonde. This is so pigmented, so I have to be very careful with it. Also, my wand is wobbly, I don't know if you can see that. Just gonna go in very light-handed with it. I'm actually not gonna dip it back in, I'm just gonna turn it around and do this side. I definitely wish the wand were smaller. That's like the one thing about it that's not great. It is kind of dark, like more pigmented I would say than the NYX Thick It Stick It Brow Gel in Cool Blonde. And it kind of serves as a standalone brow product. Normally I'd go in with my NYX Lift and Snatch Brow Pen, but I've used that one so many times this year, and honestly I think this actually just works on its own. So let's get into some eyeshadow. I decided to use two of my current No Pan Left Behind palettes that I am struggling to use, and one of them, actually no, in both of these I have shades that I've actually never used. Nomad Royal Europe and Kaleidos Escape Pod. I want to do something green. I'm just in a very green mood. I think I'm going to start out with Escape Pod and just take some of Lo-Fi to set like from the crease up. Lo-Fi is definitely one of my most used shades in here. It's definitely a useful one. And then I think I will dip right next door into Bossa Nova, this nice kind of taupey khaki color, on a nice fluffy crease brush, and work that into the crease. This is another one of my most used shades in the palette, if you can imagine. I haven't used this shade yet, Galactic Gala, and then maybe also Royal Orb from the Nomad palette. I kind of want to try something different and put Palace of Versailles, this blue, I want to put that down on my lid as a base. So I'm taking some of this shade and packing that. Actually, I may just pack that in the... No, I'm going to pack it all over the lid. Ooh, that's kind of messy. Oh, I'm not used to working with color. I feel like I can be so much sloppier with neutrals. Like I can get away with it a little bit more easily, but... Okay, so that's my base. Back over to Kaleidos. I'm going to dip into Galactic Gala. Ooh, that is a really pretty shade. And that, I'm just packing on the inner half of my lid. That is so fun. I also want to take some of the shade Royal Orb from the Nomad Royal Europe palette and kind of put this in the middle and outer part of my lid. Kind of, I mean, on top of the blue matte, it looks kind of similar to the other green shade from the Kaleidos palette, but this one has a little bit more of like a turquoise to it. It's a little bit deeper in the base. Going back to my fluffy crease brush, just blending out the perimeter. I think for my liner, my eyeliner, I'm going to use the Urban Decay 24/7 Glide On Eye Pencil in Overdrive. Another thing I haven't used this year that I think would go really nicely with this look. I'm going to use just like a classic sharp winged liner with this. And I'm going to take it down below as well, just in kind of the outer part. And I'm using a smudge brush to blend that. I actually think I want to kind of set that liner with the shade King's Room, this really pretty rich emerald green. I'm just going to use that same brush I was just using, kind of wipe it off a little bit. I'm actually going to take just a little bit more of Bossa Nova from the Kaleidos palette, just above the crease. Then I'm going to reach into my magnetic singles and use some of ColourPop La Playa in the inner corner. Also taking some of that below as well, and then blending it up against that darker green liner. I think that is going to complete the eye look. For setting spray, I haven't used this one yet this year. I do really like this one though, the Revolution Sport Fix. I mean, it's meant for sport or like dancing, that kind of thing, but it's supposed to just be really long wearing. I do find that it extends the wear of my makeup And I like that it's not heavily fragranced either. Then my least used mascara of the year so far is, I mean, I haven't had it as long as some others, but the NYX Worth the Hype Waterproof Mascara in black. It is slightly harder to remove than my favorite tubing mascaras like the e.l.f. Lash Extender, but it is still easy enough to remove with like the Mixoon cleansing oil. That's what I actually just finished using. But this, I have also found that sometimes it will smudge or flake, which is like so the opposite of what a waterproof mascara is supposed to do. So probably not one I would buy again. There are a lot of lip products that I haven't touched this year, but I picked these two because I think they'll just go beautifully with this look. Kind of a nudie peach. So my lip liner is the Jones Road lip pencil in Nudist. One of my favorite formulas. I don't know how I haven't used this one yet this year. I actually haven't used Mauve either. I think it's just that neither one has been in my everyday makeup drawer. That's actually the case with a lot of these things. It's just that I really heavily focus on my everyday makeup drawer. Everything else doesn't really get used. I do like to pretty exclusively work out of my everyday makeup drawer, but I still can reach into other things too. That is such a pretty nude shade. Really love that. Like, that by itself is gorgeous. And then to go on top of that, I picked the Tarte Maracuja Juicy Lip Plump in White Peach. Haven't used this at all this year, but it is such a beautiful product. I love that light milky peach nude color so much, especially with this kind of eye look. I think peach and green go so well together. So that is my full face of neglected makeup. It is going to feel so good to tally off my uses for all these products, fill in some gaps in my spreadsheet, because by the end of this year I hope to have used everything at least once, but hopefully most things a lot more than that. So thank you so much for watching today's video. If you enjoyed it, be sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, share this video with a friend who you think might enjoy it if you want to show a little extra support. Otherwise, I hope you all have an amazing rest of your day, and I'll talk to you very soon in my next video. Bye!